Hey, what's up, guys? It's Luke here. And tonight, yes, tonight, we're honored to be hosting a special event where we'll be joined by Sankar, the founder and CEO of Autozy headphones. Also, stay tuned because at the end of this video, we're going to have a little bit of details about how you can win an LCD2 classic pair of headphones, which are $800 value and a legend from the entire Autozy line. To give you guys a little background, Audizy is renowned for their strides in planar magnetic headphone technology, and as well as creating top tier gaming headphones to go with it. Their products are extremely reliable and they continue to push the boundaries. And in the world of high end headphones, they're pretty much a household name for enthusiasts. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest all the way from California. This is Sankar. And for those who are enthusiasts, you may know him already. He is a rock star in the audio world, especially in headphones. Sankar, thank you so much for being here, man, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be joining Gramophone during the show.
And it is a pleasure for us to be joining you as well, sir. So, I want to ask you a little bit about your experience with audio, what your history is in the industry as a whole, and then can you tell me a little bit about the story of how Audacy came to be, how one of the greatest headphone companies ever was born?
Sure. I mean, my background was not in audio. It was previously in video card design and digital cinema.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
yeah, and then Odyssey was, so the way Odyssey got started was thanks to HeadFi actually. And in 2008, I met one of the other co-founders of Odyssey, and we were trying to actually make the first product we made was a speaker array. It was a very large 7 foot tall speaker array that could throw sound for long distances. So that was our first product, but like almost all founders, we were very naive and we didn't know what we were doing. And then we made a headphone with the planar transducer. Um, we had experience making very thin films, and planar transducers are basically thin film PCBs. So I met Alex and our CTO, Drag College, and Alex Rosen, and we decided to start Odyssey. It was more or less a hobby at that time, and we made a prototype headphone with a NADI headphone shell. So we took our driver, put it in a NADI headphone, and luckily for us at that particular time, there was a CanJam LA. I think probably one of the first CanJams. So I called up HeadFi and I asked them if I could come and show it there, and they said a table would cost us $500.
Hmm.
I said this is more or less a hobby. We don't even know what we are doing with this. So will you give us half a table? So Jude was gracious enough to give us half a table for $250. So for the first show, we actually shared half a table with a cable company, and it was at the same show. JH Audio got started as well. Right opposite to us was Jerry and his JH Audio team, and that was the first exposure we had to HeadFi. But immediately Ray Samuels from Chicago came and said, "Hey, why are you use this headphone? Sounds good. Why are you using this amplifier here? Use my amplifier; it will sound better." And then by the end of the show, we started getting really, really good reviews from people, and the community as a whole encouraged us to start making these headphones. Only then we got some confidence that we can actually make this. So then we decided we had to figure out how to actually make this. We can't sell this transducer, putting it in some third party headphone. So we decided to go make a headphone, and we actually made, I think, about 25 LCD ones. We actually sold them. So I think some of them actually once in a while pop up on eBay as in the secondary market. Um, then we made the LCD too. So that was our first fully designed headphone that we made. Um, Again, it was the same thing at that time. It was very expensive to make these things because we were also making it all by hand. And we found out that it was very expensive to do injection molding of plastic rings. So we found a wood manufacturing unit here where they were used to machine woods. And so we thought it was cheaper to actually make the housing in wood than plastic.
Oh, wow.
So that's how we actually, because we were very worried about at the time about whether we can sell this, because there were very few headphones above $1,000. Only one was HD 600, HD 800 at that time. So we were very worried about it also, whether people will buy this headphone, all that stuff. So we made the LCD2s, and for a long time, maybe a year or year and a half, it was back ordered. We could hardly make them to sell them. It just took off. And Jude told me that was one of the most popular threads on HeadFi ever. It had a lot of reaction from the HeadFi crowd, and basically they encouraged us to make it. So once we started making LCD2, then we started getting some more experience on how to do these headphones. It was all still chemically etched PCBs, thin film PCBs. And in 2013, we quit, both me and Alex, and we decided we have to take this more seriously. So we quit our full-time jobs and started doing Audacy full-time. So till 2000, from 2010 to 2013, it was part-time, weekend, and hobby, kind of all mixed together. And then from 2013, we started our factory here in Orange County, and almost all the speakers still get manufactured here, except the gaming headphones. All the other high-end headphones also get made here. So I'm actually in my factory, in the Audacy factory today.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. So you started off with the 2s. When did things like the 3 and the 4 and the X and all those come to be?
So the 3 actually came almost a year after 2. It was actually, I remember the date, it was November 11th, 2011. It was 11/11/11. So for some reason, we thought that would be cool to introduce it on that day. So we introduced 3 on that day. And the main difference between the 2 and the 3 was the 2 had a very unique magnetic structure. Even now, 2 LCD2 still continue that magnetic structure, where the magnets are not on top of each other like typical planar magnets. They are slightly offset. So we get a much more uniform flux in the magnetic gap. So the 3s, we wanted to make something a little bit more efficient. So the 3s had a little bit more traditional structure, but we also had a very thin diaphragm. So that was in 2011. And in 2013, we introduced the X and the XC, because both L2s and 3s were open headphones. And almost immediately, what we noticed was people started using them for pro audio applications, even from the very beginning, right? So when we introduced LCD2s, I still remember our LCD3 brochures for 2011 had Eric Labson talking about the LCD2s. He was the mastering engineer and mixing engineer for Matrix movies.
Oh, wow.
So he started using them, and then word started spreading around studios and post-production studios here, and many of them started using them. But the biggest problem we had was, at that time, the headphone amplifiers were not very powerful, and many of these guys had consoles where the headphone output was very feeble. So we needed something very easy to drive, very efficient. So, and also the wood rings did not work very well in the studio. Sometimes people would drop it, and or they would lie around in a corner, get scratched up and stuff, and it wouldn't look good. So the LCDX was designed so that instead of wood rings in like LCDs and 3s, we used aluminum rings, and we also made 18 ohm version impedance, so it's easy to drive and super efficient headphone. And LCDX from that day to now is probably one of the best selling pro audio headphones we have made. It still continues to sell well, and one of our most popular headphones.
And I would say here that we probably get the most buzz from customers around the X as well.
Yes, yeah, I mean and also the XCs was basically a closed version of X, because people started using it in pro audio, and then the mic feedback and everything started coming into the picture. So we needed a closed back version. So that's how we made LCD X and XC.
Gotcha. So, Sankar, in your words, you got started doing the planar magnetic design because of your background. You said it's almost like a PCB transducer. But as you've gone ahead and come out with all these incredible models of headphones now, and we're going to talk about even some more of those today, just in a minute here. In your words, what would you say is the benefit from a guy who's designed all of these and developed them for new listeners who are maybe just getting into the headphone space or don't quite understand all the terms that we're talking about right now? How would you more easily define what a planar magnetic headphone is and the benefits of switching to something like that if you're coming from what most folks would know as a traditional headphone?
So in different, we explain it differently to different people. If you're coming from pro audio, we explain it with an analogy of a ribbon microphone, right? But almost 99%, or like probably more than 99% of all headphones have cone speakers. Even though we sell in the audiophile and pro audio headphones planar speakers, the numbers in terms of sheer numbers, it's very minuscule, the total
Yeah.
number of planar headphones. So unlike a cone speaker, we don't have the typical limitations of a cone speaker with breakup modes and everything. We have a flat thin film with a circuit etched on it, and between either on one or both sides you have magnets that drive the diaphragm up and down. It's more of a pistonic motion and a much bigger surface area, so you get much more accurate um, sound reproduction, and also the transient response is really fast, so you get much more accurate response. So this is in a easy to understand way. If you see a picture of a planar speaker, you will realize it's almost like a film stretched with a circuit on it. It's similar to flat diaphragm, thin film diaphragm headphones like electrostatic headphones. But the big difference between an electrostatic headphone and a planar headphone is planar headphones use electromagnetic drives, meaning you have magnets and stuff. And you don't need a big amplifier. You don't need the bias voltage and all that stuff. So it's easy to plug into a traditional headphone amplifier using a quarter-inch jack to get it working.
It's
So you get
powerful, but it's
benefits.
accessible.
Yes, yeah, it's more accessible and also more easy to use.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, we're going to be talking about some new Autozy products, which I'm excited about. But before we get into that, we've actually put a little video together for you guys to give you some more background. So go ahead and check out this short video of Grammy winning music producer Carlos de la Garza's first impressions of Autozy's newest flagship headphone, the LCD 5.
Feels like it's the best of both worlds, right? It has more of the low end that I was getting from the X's, a little more low end and top end. It feels a little more spacious. I feel like the frequencies are just a little bit more like a little more focused within each band. The lows are a little bit more punchy, the mids are more present, top end is a little bit more clear, and it just feels like tighter. It's hard to explain, but everything feels tighter together. I'm gonna compare it one more time to these guys. The volume thing is always a tricky thing. Once I've found the right number to compensate, it's obvious how much better these are. I love the lightweight aspect of them. I think they look cool. I love the little tweaks on the design. I like the acetate sunglasses vibe. Even the inside looks cooler in a way. It's like that shimmer is intriguing. This is rad, the new cable. I always appreciate the details, little subtle upgrades. I feel like strongly that you guys are doing something that nobody else has achieved. They look great, they sound great. Yeah, these are awesome, dude.
Well, that sure is pretty high praise. So, the LCD, I got a little experience with them at an audio show a couple weeks ago, and coming off of the fours, which were already a magnificent headphone, and the first headphone that literally made me turn to my side and look out into the distance, wondering where that sense of imaging was coming from. Somehow the fives were even better, and I love what you did with the design on them. But when you were designing the fives, what were you looking to achieve? And I would say just highlight for us some of those key differences and why the fives are such a big deal now.
I mean, one is we have learned, over the years how to make these things better. So with planars, we always try to, we are one of the first people to start manufacturing at scale. So we are always learning and trying to put those improvements back into the product. But in terms of phi, it was very clear. LCD4 was 2016. That's when we introduced LCD4. And one of the biggest complaints on LCD4 was the weight. The biggest issue is we are trying to make very, very thin diaphragms. So we were using 0.5 micron film with 0.5 micron metal on LCD4s. And to drive this film, you need a lot of magnets. And more magnets and makes it heavier, and it's harder to make it efficient. Otherwise, you will end up with a headphone that you can only drive with a big, speaker amplifier. So what we wanted to do was to reduce the weight first. So then the second one was to make it more efficient, so you can easily play it on different devices, and you don't need a humongous speaker amplifier. And comfort, and also the last one was the LCD designs have stayed pretty much the same over a period of time. We wanted to update the design to make it a little bit more modern, right? But the LCD headphones are little like they have been using the same design, but they have become iconic. People get actually tattoos of these design headphones and send it to us. So so we did not want to change the design. With the new industrial design, we still wanted it to be an LCD headphone and not something radically different. So we worked with Boombang. It's a design company in Culver City, and Tyler and his team at Boombang helped us design it so that it looks very polished. And one of the ideas we had was, instead of wood, could we use acetate, right? We wanted to modernize the look. So that was one portion. Then to reduce the weight, we basically pretty much made every single part, we re-engineered it from the ground up. Every single thing was magnesium or very lightweight aluminum to completely reduce the cost. In fact, the first design of the LCD5 headphone had a leather headband, and we found out we can shave off about 40 grams by removing the leather and making it just plain carbon fiber. So everything was pretty much like, let's make it lightweight, let's make it easy to a little bit more modern design. And then the last one was, of course, comfort. We wanted it to be more comfy and easy to wear. And in terms of sound, we made two big changes. The first one was we completely re-engineered a new ear pad, and the ear pad was done so that it can minimize the reflections. You can see it in the ear pad design. Basically, instead of the walls being vertical, it's kind of sloped to reduce the reflections. And the last one we wanted to do was the mid-range. People wanted a little bit more energy, so we increased the response, and we updated the response so that there's a little bit more energy in the mid-range and much more neutral. So those were the primary changes that we did. But everything else is, and also the magnets are a little bit apart, so you get a little bit more spaciousness out of it. If you can switch to the other camera, then probably Martin can show you some of these things where the sloped ear pads come. And you can see the design where, if you see the design of it, you will see that the ear pads are sloped and reduce the reflections. And that's primarily what we did. We basically re-engineered everything from the ground up to get this design. So you can see the pads there.
The fives are a really good looking pair of headphones, and definitely more comfortable. The experience I had with them was very limited, but almost immediately I was like, these are already just way more pleasant to be wearing for an extended session. I could already tell. And what you said about working on the mid-range a little bit, almost immediately I thought to myself, yeah, these are flattering voices really nicely, and I really appreciated that about them.
So we, the moment we made them, we tested them with a lot of musicians, sound engineers, Like for example, we have a lot of musicians and sound engineers who use our headphones day in and day out. So we send the headphones to them and we get feedback from them and make sure it works for their needs as well. For example, Carlos is in Eagle Rock, not far away, so it's easy to go to his studio, check it against his monitors. Bobcats tested them, and Brent Lloyd and a whole bunch of other people tested them and gave us feedback before they were set out.
Mhm. Yeah, when I when I got to see them close up, when you were talking about the new materials you used to make them, I thought that the acetate almost looked like the kind of tortoise shell you see in a really high quality luxury sunglass, and I was like, "Oh, this is stylish stuff."
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the challenges we had. We wanted to use something lightweight, but did not want to use wood because we are also having issues with sending wood, shipping wood. For example, we had trouble getting shipping wood to Australia because we have to fumigate the wood and all that stuff. So,
Do you have a close up of what the actual driver looks like?
the LCD5 driver, probably not immediately. Yeah, sorry, we didn't
Oh,
shoot it.
that's okay.
So that's yeah. We'll post a picture in the comments on YouTube.
Perfect. That'll be perfect. Well, we got another product that we need to talk about too, don't we? We're going to introduce this for you guys. This one's going to be a little different, something that maybe you wouldn't have expected from Autozy, but I think is actually going to be really cool. But before we get into that, for those of you wondering more about the LCD5, we here at Gramophone will be doing a review on it soon. And I can tell you, I'm sure certainly looking forward to that too. And finally, the LCD5 will be listed in our Gramophone Holiday Gift Guide. You can find that at gramophone.com/holiday to get a little bit more information in the meantime. Now then, let me introduce you guys to another video presentation we have. This is for a new Autozy product, a bit of a different direction for them, but something that sounds really exciting and will no doubt be of the utmost quality in its class because it's coming from Autozy. This product is called the Filter, and you're going to see why that's so aptly named. It's actually a conference speakerphone. So let's show you this, and you guys can find out all about it.
Hi, Jane. Thanks for joining the meeting. Did you have a chance to review the talk I sent this morning? We're going to arrange a client meeting next week.
Yes, I did. Let me give you my updates for the marketing plans.
Hi, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, oops. It's a bit noisy here. Let me turn on noise cancellation.
Much better.
Introducing Audeze Filter, a speakerphone designed with inbuilt artificial intelligent microphones to remove noise. Designed for the hybrid workforce.
So that looks really unique and very cool. Sankar, where did the idea for the filter come from? I've got a few guesses, of course, but let me hear it from you.
Uh, so basically, when the pandemic hit, all of us had to work from home some days and come to work some days, and and I think it's going to be the nature of work going forward. It's a lot of what we call the hybrid workforce, right? So it's very hard to wear headphones on conference calls all day, and also you have kids at home, and when you're taking meetings from home, sometimes it could get very noisy. I have two small kids, and many meetings get interrupted. So that's one part of the problem. So we wanted to see if we could design a small speakerphone. The second problem is most products in the market are very big, bulky speakerphone products like this. It's not easy to carry. Even if you can carry them, it's very hard to set up. It was designed pre-pandemic, right? They were designed for conference calls and big rooms and stuff. It's not easy to put it in a backpack and go. Many of them even don't even have batteries. So what we wanted to design was something like a very small, slick product that you can easily carry. So that's how we ended up with the filter, and this is basically the filter product. And you can see it's about 10 millimeters thick, and it's almost the same size as my iPhone.
It's about perfect.
Right,
yeah.
exactly the same size as an iPhone. So our goal was to design something that's actually you can easily use it, and loud enough for a 3 to 4 people, like 5 to 6 people conference rooms. But in addition, we thought with all these AI chipsets and stuff, neural networks coming in, what if we could actually include the microphones that have artificial intelligence in them? And it can intelligently remove the noise from dog barking or pets or kids or even lawnmower sounds and other things, right? So now with the AI chipsets getting more and more powerful, it's easier to do some of these things. So what we did was we put all these things in one package. So you have the microphones, the planar speaker. You can actually see the planar speaker, the rectangular portion on the right
I
side
can
is the
see
full
it in there.
speaker,
That's
right?
so cool.
Yeah, it's the full speaker, and all the electronics is on the left side. And when you power it, it's both USB and Bluetooth. It'll be we are trying to get it certified for Zoom, WebEx, and Microsoft Teams, and so it already works with all of them. We also want to get it certified, so we wanted to put it on something like this that's easy to carry. You can put it in a small. It comes with a small carry case. You can put it inside and then put it in your backpack and go. Gets about 15 hours of battery life, and you can connect it to USB or Bluetooth, and should pretty much work with mobile phones to laptops to anything. That's the primary. You can also listen to podcasts and stuff. It's designed, but it's designed for this hybrid workforce, so you can take a small conference call speaker.
And given that you designed that using the famous Autozy planar, of course, I expect that for something of that size, it sounds pretty impressive.
Correct. And one of the first products if you remember, I told you in the beginning of our call, our first product was actually a speaker
Yes.
design. That was actually designed for the military. We actually tested it at the Edwards Air Force Base. So it was a big planar array, and one of the advantages of planar arrays is you get a very good voice intelligibility. So with our big speaker array, in the test at Edwards Air Force Base, somebody 1 mile away was able to decipher all 100 words that were said at a distance of 1 mile. So we have some experience with designing the speaker arrays. So planars have a lot of voice intelligibility because they are very clean, very crisp. So we have often thought of making this, but till this product came along, we didn't put together everything together in the right mix. So I think right now we have this product where I think it's an exciting product for us. It's one of the most fun we have had designing a product. The industrial design was inspired from TARS from Interstellar. So you can see like this. It's a lot of fun designing this project. It has a brand new type of microphones and a new planar array. We'll see how it does.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to test out. I know I can't wait to get my hands on one and see what it can do, because there really is nothing quite like that. A high audio quality conferencing device for the everyman.
I mean,
That's awesome.
most of them are also bulky. Nothing this slick as well. Yeah.
So there's still one more thing that we got to talk about tonight, and man, that filter is so cool though. And that, of course, is the carbon electrostatic headphones. And apparently, these actually have a very cool and I'd say very noble history. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then we're actually going to roll a video for the audience as well.
Sure. Martin probably can show you also the MRI version of the product. So when we designed this product, actually started with us trying to make planar drivers faster and easier to make. So most of the planar drivers, we haven't talked about this now, but what we do now that's very different from almost anybody who has ever done planars before or even now is we use lasers to etch the planar drivers. So we have film, we have aluminum, and then we use lasers. We don't use chemical etching anymore. So this basically makes it very easy to make and manufacture planars. But one of the initial stuff that we were trying to do was, what if we could make the film itself conductive in certain areas? So since the film for us is custom made, we basically make it in a liquid, and it's made from a resin. So our idea was initially, what if we could put carbon nanotubes or some conductive material inside the film? So we were trying to put it in some areas, but it didn't work out well, but the film itself became conductive. So once we had that film, we realized this is a special type of film, because most electrostatic headphones and speakers ever made always had a thin film, and they would have some kind of deposition made, some metal or graphite or something that was deposited on top of it. And many times, almost all of them have deposition only on one side, because when you do these very small depositions, it's not very uniform. So when they try it on both sides, it actually increases the distortion. So what we did was, when we put the carbon nanotubes, it becomes uniformly conductive throughout the volume of the film, and we have no coating. So we had this film, and then I met a professor called Professor Cohen from actually what Martin's showing you is the transparent film. That's actually the carbon nanotube film. So the carbon nanotubes are inside the film. You can not see it.
It's not even there.
Yeah, you cannot see it. You can actually put some light, and with a microscope you can see it. But that's actually the film we use inside the driver. So I met a professor called Professor Mark Cohen at UCLA. He runs the Semel Institute of Neuroscience, and is in they have a very big group during neuroimaging. And he mentioned one of the biggest problems that they have is trying to trying to do noise cancellation inside MRI machines. They have some headphones, but they are very primitive and not very good. And the biggest problem for MRI machines is the noise levels are very, very high. It's about 120 dB, almost like a jackhammer right next to you inside the MRI machine, and you are in this big claustrophobic area, and about 20% of the people refuse to get an MRI because of this very hostile environment. A lot more people actually get medication before they go into the MRI machine. And then the bigger problem is because of the nature of the technology, if you shift your head or things like that inside the machine, they actually have to rescan it, and it takes longer to test. So you have to be extremely still. So the big problem is you have to make a noise cancellation headphone, but MRI machines are huge magnets, right? You cannot have any metal.
No metal.
The headphones inside the MRI machine are ferrous material, or even copper wires and stuff, because the electrical field is very strong. It'll induce current in them. So we have all these very restrictive environment. So how do you design a headphone that actually can be used in this? So it took us 3-4 years to do this. I think we started this project in 2016. So with our carbon nanotube film, we have no metal coating on the diaphragm. The film is easy, it's transparent to the MRI machine, so we can put it in. And we can also change the amount of carbon nanotubes doped into the film so that we can make it more efficient, because we have to make it extremely efficient, because we have to create sound SPLs in higher than 120 dB. So for the MRI version of the headphones, we designed a transducer that can give a lot of SPL. And the carbon nanotube design really helped us with the whole thing, because we could change the bias voltage, change the conductivity of the film. So we designed this headphone, and UCLA, we are going to market with a company called SMRT, Smart. They basically take this headphone, package it, and with some visual aids as well, and put it inside the MRI machines. So they are testing it at RadNet, and I believe about 295 patients. They tested 295 patients with this headphone, with this system, and thus almost everybody liked it much better than the one without headphones. But the most interesting result from the study was 20% of the people actually thought the whole duration of the test was actually lower than how much time they were inside the machine. That is the actual, so which is very encouraging. So of course, UCLA and Radner, they will publish these results. So when we designed this headphone, we realized this is perhaps one of the best sounding transducers we have made. And it's very unique, even compared to almost every electrostatic headphones in the market. Nobody has used this type of carbon nanotubes and stuff in the past. And we thought, why not make an audiophile version as well? So that's how we made the carbon headphones. This is our audiophile version of the headphones, and we are super proud of this particular headphone because it's almost a significant change in how electrostatic headphones are made.
When I first heard about graphene, the building blocks of carbon nanotubes, I was like, stiffest, lightest material ever. Somebody needs to make speakers and headphones out of that. And you're kind of on the way to that by doing the carbon nanotubes in the very aptly named carbon headphone. I had a limited experience with those as well. And man, I've got to hand it to you. They are just, in a word, stunning. Like, they will just make you stop whatever it is you are thinking about and focus precisely on whatever's playing through them.
Correct. And we actually tested this quite a bit with sound engineers and musicians as well. And we it was very interesting because we actually tested this at Sound City in LA with Tony Berg. We had Martin Shellerfor from LA Philharmonic bringing his violin, and he played it, and we actually recorded it and immediately played it back to him on the headphones, right? He plays the violin, we record it, Tony Berg records it, and immediately plays it back. And Martin Shellerfor told us he told us it's one of the most natural reproduction he has ever heard. So we have now these headphones that, it's going a little slower manufacturing them because it's also new to us. But we think this headphone is something special.
I think so too. And there's really no better compliment that can be paid to them than to say that they sound natural or that they just sound real, which and they do. They're very comfortable too.
Yeah, very lightweight, right? It's 300 grams or so for such a big headphone. And you can see the driver right next to it. That's actually the driver.
And it fills up virtually all of that space. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the whole driver is the headphone.
It's very size and design efficient. Yeah, that's incredible.
The reason we had to actually make that is because of we needed really high SPLs for the MRI version. We actually have a smaller version of this. I don't know if Martin has it, but it was done for pediatric version. There's actually a smaller version of the transducer that was done for the MRI version for pediatrics.
So on that MRI and some more about the design and technology that went into the carbon, we've got a video that we put together for you guys as well. So we're going to go ahead and roll that.
Very clear that we had to have a headphone that wasn't just loud, but was very high fidelity. Acoustic noise cancellation works by creating sound that is essentially the exact opposite of any environmental noise that we don't want to hear.
We set out to do it smart, was create a very tranquil patient experience within a very hostile environment. And when I say hostile environment, I mean not only the loud clacking and banging of the MRI machine, but also the magnetic force that they throw off. It's intense. And being able to create a product that a patient can wear where they're comfortable and fully immersed is very tricky to do. We were lucky enough to find Autozy. I mean, they really pulled off just a phenomenal engineering challenge that allowed us to bring super high quality audio into probably one of the most challenging environments that exists, which is an MRI room.
Here was a chance for us to actually make a product that actually had a purpose. We call it a purpose-driven headphone.
Designing these headphones in collaboration with Odyssey, the fidelity of the headphones was a critical factor.
The challenge was to use technology that can work inside of the coil and not create image issues.
What we've ended up with is a scanner agnostic headset. So you can put this into any scanner, any make, any power, and it's going to give you the same noise cancellation performance.
When we got to one of these MRI sites, gentleman who was shaking so much that all his images were blurry. After we set up our headphone system, he used it and he was able to calm down, and he was actually able to have a good scan where the images were nice and clear.
So the possibility of having simple, clear communication is a godsend for the process.
We've arrived at a solution that is by far the industry standard of high quality audio with an active noise cancellation component that no other AV company in the MRI space can meet.
This particular headphone, I think there is a chance for us to actually do several things. One is to improve patient comfort in MRI machines. Second thing is it can actually help get better results in MRI machines. It became clear to us that we had something special. This had very high SPL for an electrostatic headphone. It had very high fidelity. But also what is very important is it was probably one of the best sounding headphones we've ever created.
In an effort to solve a problem in the MRI space, one of the things that fell out of it was we created one of the best sounding transducers in any market.
We knew that once we did this headphone, we also have to do a headphone that is suitable for music listening and mastering. When we created this carbon headphones, we used the same technology that we had developed for our MRI version of the headphones.
This is not a headphone for kids.
Damn, so real. Unbelievably real.
It is so cool to actually see how that works in a hospital or in the MRI machine. And I think it's so cool that you guys also came up with something that could be so useful, yet not the kind of thing that most would have thought about, to be like, wait a minute, we have a noise and fear issue here with patients. There is a solution for that.
Yeah, I think one of the advantages of Autozy is we make a lot of things from the ground up. We design
Yes.
our own film, we design our own magnets. So we are probably uniquely positioned as one of the few companies that can actually engineer something like this from the ground up, right? Otherwise, you have to, most companies typically get their drivers from somebody or package it in some housing. Sometimes they completely outsource it. What we have been able to do now is to go engineer these transducers and headphones from the ground up. So I think that gives us an advantage to doing some of these things. You know, as I mentioned in there, it's a purpose-driven headphone is what we call it, because we have seen, you know, how it could be useful for many of these things and many of the patients. So it's very rewarding to make some of these things also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What part of the development process for the MRI pair did it kind of hit you like, wait a minute, these sound amazing. We need to make an audiophile pair too.
So we were always in two minds, because initially we were like, we are known for planar magnetic headphones, and do we want to make a electrostatic headphone, right? So it's a and again, one of the things is we have to go pair it with an amplifier and everything. So we were kind of like, let's see how this MRI version goes. And then once we had the full size MRI version, we knew immediately that we should make it. Question was, when do we make it and how do we package it? The MRI version took far too long than we anticipated, so it gave us enough time to make the other headphone also in time to release them both together.
Gotcha.
Because the MRI version takes a lot more time, because there's a lot of other parties involved. There's SMRT guys, the UCLA guys to test it. It's a lot more collaborative. Then there was also Danville Signal doing the noise cancellation portion of it. So there are some MEMS microphones, and the audio is taken out because you can't have electronics inside the room easily. So all that stuff is taken out to a noise cancellation circuitry outside, where the noise cancellation is done and then sent back to the headphone. So it's a big project. It still probably will take us to a few more years to fully do the whole. So these things will be done in phases. First will be the headphones, then the noise cancellation portion, and then probably the visual aids and stuff will come in the last one.
And for those wondering, is it that an electrostatic headphone is better than a planar magnetic, or what really is just the kind of simple difference that you could describe in layman's terms?
So if you had asked me this 10 years ago, it probably would have been easier to say, okay, electrostatics would be always, much in certain aspects will be much better. But with LCD 5 and 4 and even other product manufacturers are introducing it, we are now getting very, very thin films, very sensitive headphones. So I won't say one is better than the other. It's kind of now it's kind of different flavors. That's an easier way to explain it. If you want a lot more impact in the bass and stuff, and you're that kind of probably planar is better. Also because you can plug it into almost any amplifier. The mid-range is in the mid-range magic in electrostatics is something else, So the mid-range and high frequencies are much more nicer in electrostatics. The planars are getting there, almost there, but you also need a special amplifier. So it's two different flavors.
Gotcha. And it sounds like that's, as you said, it's been an answer that's continually evolving.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well, we've got a couple other questions here, actually from our viewers. So we're going to move into our Q&A section. So whatever you got for us, dear viewers, we're ready for you. Thomas says, will you continue the ribbon headphone line of the LCD-R? That's a very good question.
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing. We made it. We didn't know whether people will be willing to buy a headphone with an amplifier together. So we thought we could do something simple to try with one of these products. Which so there are a lot of passion projects that we come up with. We once created an ambisonics microphone at Autozy. We created different things. Sometimes we don't take them to the market. So with this LCD-R headphone was similar to one of them, where it was created and then we tried to figure out how to take it to the market. And then Jason at Shet Audio, they said, hey, we have this amplifier that we designed for the RAL headphones. We could probably modify it. So we made a limited edition, and the response even surprised us, because we thought we will put it in, and our goal initially when we put it on the website was by Thanksgiving we should be able to sell them. This was like 3 months or something. So, and then before we even sent the email announcing it, they were all sold out in about an hour or so. And I've never seen something sell out so quickly. So there is, we have to plan for it to see how to do it. I mean, we are also, we have a couple of other concepts similar to this that might be very exciting for the enthusiast crowd. We actually, I think we might have shown it some point. We had a headphone that had very high impedance as well. So instead of LCD-R. So we are still trying to figure it out. We had other products that we had planned with carbon and LCD-5 and the filter. So this year was super busy. So probably next year we will try to revisit this topic and see how, is there something that we can make that would be interesting for the market.
What else we got? Mitchell says, what differentiates Audezy's sound from other audio manufacturers? Another very good question.
Yeah, I mean, there is, in terms of sound, from the very beginning, right? What we have tried to do was, our goal was to reproduce sound as if it's in a very well-treated room with a nice sounding speakers. So even from the very beginning, the way I think our director of research, Karthik, even wrote an article about this on Inner Fidelity when Tile was there. I don't know if it is still up, but that has always been our goal. So we have Kavi Alexander from Santa Barbara. He's a Grammy Award-winning producer who did a lot of recordings for us. We were there at that time when the recordings were made. We used them as reference recordings. We have a set of big planar speakers, 7 foot high, that we use as reference speakers that are extremely good sounding. So if in terms of difference, I am not, It's our Odyssey house sound has been always similar. Very good bass response from ever since, even from LCD1 and LCD2 days. And the goal has been always to be very faithful and reproducing sound as if in a well-treated room. That's basically the goal for us. In almost every headphone design, not just our headphones, almost every other headphone also, there will be some physical issues and stuff. So we provide reference tuning for these things with our Reveal plugins for free. So in case you're using it for mastering or something, you could adjust them with DSP. But coming to LCD5 and stuff, I think we are very close to our reference tuning, where we hardly need any EQ at all. So LCD5s, I think, are probably very close to our reference sound.
And that Reveal plugin, is that for the other headphone models, the idea to bring them a little closer to neutrality for mastering engineers?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and mastering engineers, yes. And it actually came from there. Basically, some people might have an LCD headphone, some other people have LCDX. They wanted something that would translate very well to the studios when they take it, if they are working from home.
Yes.
That's how we came in. And I think over a period of time, there is a version of Reveal Plus where you can take a picture of your ear. It creates a HRTF, and you can upload it to the cloud, and then it creates a HRTF. And then we have, I think, 3 or 4 studios. For example, Carlos de Garza studio. So you can go in and say how, if you use this particular headphone, for example, LCD2, and you want to, so when you want to see how to reproduce sound in a particular environment, you need 3 things. You need the frequency response of the speakers in that room. You need the room acoustics, and also you need the individual HRTF. So these are the 3 things that actually affect how you perceive audio. So what we did with Reveal Plus is you can take a picture of your ear and it gives you custom HRTF. We worked on this with a company called Embody. And then we go in and measure the rooms. For example, Warren Hart's room or Carlos de Garza's room in Eagle Rock is measured and is available. And then you can also select which speaker in the room you want. Do you want the Focals or do you want the Yamahas? And then it'll actually, you can see how it would sound if you use those particular combinations. So you can get, it's not to replace your studio or anything, but let's say you are a student at home and you want to mix and produce a track, but you want to see how it would sound in a studio before you go there for your final mix. You can at least get 80% there. That's at least our goal. We work with Embody on it, and then all the headphone EQs are there as well.
Oh, wow. It does so much more than I thought. That's some impressive stuff. We got any more questions?
Oh, there was one question about LCD4 discontinuing. So we haven't discontinued it. It's just that LCD5 took up a lot of effort, and we couldn't make, we had part shortage. So we will, at some point, we will have LCD4s back again. I mean, we, like every other company, we are struggling with getting supplies and parts and stuff like that. So
that's
so many of the part, and the whole year has been playing catch up with, and solving mini crises every day. So hopefully we will be able to ship these things faster.
Sherry says, can I trade in my older Autozy headphones for newer ones?
Yes, we actually just introduced anybody who has an LCD4 can trade up to LCD5. So this is something that we have done even from beginning. So when we introduced LCD3, we had a trade-up program for LCD3 to LCD2. We did this when we introduced LCD4. So contact sales at Autozy, and I'm pretty sure they will be willing to help you with some of these things.
All right. I think that's it for all of our questions. Now, guys, let's talk about that sweet contest we're running over at skybygramophone.com. Again, skybygramophone.com. We are having a giveaway for a pair of the legendary LCD2s. And if you guys remember back to the beginning of the stream, Sankar was talking about how this was the first product that Autozy designed in commercial form for mass sales. Sankar, can you tell us a little bit more about the LCD2 and how that headphone still stands up today, and what are some of its specific features and benefits.
Sure. LCD2 was, like I said, it's our first headphone, and this is a version of it that we brought back. And one of the things that we have done at Autozy is we have always continuously upgraded them. The original LCD2, I had months and months of wait time. This was pre-Kickstarter days, right? So we didn't have Kickstarter and stuff. So when we introduced it, people would pay. And I still remember when the first LCD2 was shipped to Philippines, they actually had a party. So it's and we actually have pictures of people getting LCD2s, modding them. So I've seen pictures with crocodile, like leather headbands and stuff that people modified the headphones, and they would send us pictures. We even got cakes and stuff that looked like our headphones. So this is a very, one of our most favorite headphones that we have made. It has a very unique magnetic structure. So people have tried to copy some of the other features from our headphones, but LCD2 still is unique because it has a very unique magnetic structure. The magnets are offset, so it has a very uniform flux in the magnetic gap, flux density. So this, I think, also results in the smooth mid-range that is very unique to LCD2.
So you guys definitely don't want to miss that one. Head on over to Sky by Gramophone and get signed up for that contest. And just one thing I have to mention for YouTube purposes, this is completely a Gramophone thing. It is not sponsored by YouTube in any way, shape, or form. So I think that's going to be about a wrap here, Sankar. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. That was an awesome conversation. And even I, who've been a fan of Audeze headphones for some time, have learned quite a bit. So it was really epic being able to talk to the man himself. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an entire team here. It's not just me. We have over 70 employees now. So anyway, thank you so much for hosting us, and we look forward to working with you.
And we look forward to it as well. I cannot wait to do a more longer term review on those LCD 5s or those carbons, because man, with a little bit that I got already, I did not want to put them down.
Thank you. Thank you, Luke.
You're very welcome. And thank you all you viewers for watching. We love you guys, and thank you so much for being here again. And as always, I'll be seeing you. Don't forget to subscribe.